Hey, what's going on, parents? Happy Teenager Tuesday once again. Very excited for the next 3 weeks as we start a series on teens and technology. And here with me for the first 2 weeks is the one and only Robert Jordan.
Hey, Will.
What's up, man? I'm doing pretty
So good to
well.
see you.
It's good to see you too, man. Thank you for joining us. Robert, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I am the campus pastor at our Frisco East campus. I've been married now for 17 years. I've got two incredible kids, a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old that's a 5th grader, and a 9th grader.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
Yeah, very interesting times in the Jordan household.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So to start this kind of 3-week series on technology and teens, we are talking today about cell phones and social media, and which is very prevalent, those kind of conversations that you've kind of been managing. So starting with cell phones, what are some tips and advice that you would give parents who are kind of beginning that tension, or maybe they've had that for a while and they just haven't really paused to kind of think about a strategy or some advice? What are some things that you would say?
Yeah, this is definitely an ongoing discussion in our house with our two different kids. I would start by saying, number one, it's not the same for every kid. Like there's a difference between a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
There's a difference in maturity and when they're going to be ready for that. I think it also starts with a conversation with each and every one of them and a continued conversation on use through it.
Yeah.
And I think there's some very practical things that you can also do that kind of helps keep them safe.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would say is always start with charging the cell phone in a public place.
Oh, yeah.
We don't let our kids have their cell phone in their bedrooms.
Gosh.
There's a basket in the living room. At night, they plug it in there so that they don't have unlimited access to everything.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is we believe in parenting apps for these phones that kind of control what they can do and what they can't.
Yeah.
And we also don't fully rely on them. There's
Yeah.
always going to be a way around them. It's not always going to catch everything. So we like to look into what's going on, what they're seeing, what they're doing. And finally, I'd also say think through location services.
Yeah,
It's one of those
that's
things
good.
that we don't always realize it's putting out there where our kids are all the time. to
Yeah.
people. We
Which
keep
is
it-
good for us
It's great
to know.
for us.
Yeah.
I like to know where my kids are,
Yeah.
so we disable them per app,
Okay.
so that all the other apps don't have access to where our kids
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. And gosh, the charging in a open space, that's so big. So many young men that I've talked to who struggle with pornography and looking, it's always late at night. And I've had some people say, oh, but I need the alarm. I've literally bought 3 alarm clocks.
Walmart sells alarm clocks.
Literally, I've gone on Amazon. I say, "What's your address?" and I send it to him because, like that, eliminating one spot for that exposure. And we'll talk more about this next week, on the pornography side of it. But yeah, that's so good with cell phones, disabling locations. And you talked a lot about just having conversations, kind of like setting expectations. We all know this. Frustration comes in when there's a lack of expectations, or unmet expectations. So it's really good. I think one of the best resources that we've made so far in Hope Students is a cell phone contract that you can find online at hopefellowship.net/students, and scroll down to the parent resource button, kind of click on that, and you can download it, you can edit it, and that is good whether you are introducing a cell phone or you're resetting expectations. Because, maybe your student has had a cell phone for 3-4 years. I don't think it's ever a bad time to reset expectations, because then like you're talking about, apps are great. Those are great resources, but they don't catch everything.
No.
And so having the conversation with your kid, with both of your kids, to say from time to time we will go through your phone, maybe that doesn't feel great for them, but then there's less friction, I'm guessing, since you've already had that conversation and the expectation.
Set that up ahead of time, there is a lot less frustration around us just picking up their phone and going through it and seeing text messages and what they've downloaded. And let's just be honest, technology changes so rapidly.
Yes.
What was available 3 years ago pales in comparison to what's available.
Yeah. I used to recommend Bark.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot of holes in Bark too, but we have some resources that I'll kind of mention at the end too. So moving to social media. I've used social media as it's a little bit. I mean, it's fairly necessary in student ministry. I think we're very minimal in the way that we use and promote social media. But I view it as gasoline.
Yeah,
You know, it
for
is
sure.
it is very valuable, or it can be very valuable, but it's also incredibly dangerous. So would you kind of talk a little bit about social media? And this includes YouTube, by the way. YouTube, all of those things.
Yeah, this has been, again, another fun discussion in our house because it seems like everybody has social media, which we did discuss, especially with our daughter who's now in 9th grade, that's just not the truth. Not everybody has social media. And like you said, it can be good, but it can also be very bad. So we focus on a few things right now.
Yeah.
The first thing that we kind of focus on is holding out as long as we can.
Yes.
We don't want to like outlaw it forever from our kids because we do want them to eventually learn to use it properly. But there's no reason in our household that our daughter needed social media at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. Just now at 14, we're talking through what that looks like. And honestly, especially for the females, it becomes this battle of self-image.
Yeah, it really does.
That even my wife has had to have some very in-depth conversations with my daughter who doesn't even have social media as of yet. So hold off as long as you can.
Yeah.
Second,
man, on that, sorry to interrupt, but on that note, when you're saying charge in an open space, it does kind of protect from pornography as well. It also protects young women from checking their phone and looking for notifications at 3 a.m, which has become, it has become a routine for a lot of teenagers.
It has. Lives, unfortunately.
They wake up in the middle of the night to check their phone. It's crazy. So if it moves to an open space, like that helps eliminate that as well. So, sorry, you were going to say?
Yeah, I was just saying the next thing we're working on right now is actually training them how to use it.
Yeah, that's good.
We want to make sure that like any 16-year-old who would be driving a car, we train them on how to use it. We just don't hand over the keys and say, go.
Yeah, it's stick shift. You got to train that.
It's driver's ed.
Yeah.
All of these little things. And so that's what we're doing right now with our daughter is training her in how to use it.
Yeah.
And we kind of take this idea of we want to make sure that she understands it's great to produce, but not always to consume.
Yeah.
And so we kind of live in a world that's just scrolling and looking and consuming all of this
we
stuff.
Consume as adults on social media.
Much. But we want to teach our daughter to also produce and have a creative outlet and use some of these social media things for the great things they are. My daughter actually does have a YouTube channel where she creates these animations. She does these digital animations.
Oh,
she
cool.
started an art club at school to do these things with them. Now we monitor the comments heavily. We approve every single one of them. It also gives us a space to say, hey, look at what this person said. Now let's talk about why they said it, what you should do with it, how to handle it. So we're slowly training her in how to do social media.
So we even train on bikes.
Yeah.
We give the training wheels before you take the training wheels off. A friend of mine, I know somebody who he lets his 2 older daughters have Instagrams, but they don't have Instagram on their phone. And only dad has the password to their Instagram. So if they want to take a picture or if they want to post a picture, they can take it, but then they have to send it to dad and they have to post it on dad's phone and dad has to approve what is being posted. And then it gives, like you're saying, these conversations, it gives him an opportunity to even talk about what posting, why posting, all of that. And even kind of a cool way of like, oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that happened at school, or who's this? Who's this friend? Like it kind of brings into those conversations. So as well as training, one thing that kind of goes into training that Tim Elmore talks about. He came in and we brought him in for our high school retreat, or middle school and high school retreat called Movement, and he talked about mental health. And one thing that he talks about for mental health with social media is to limit social media to under 2 hours. And he shows in his research that over 2 hours, depression and anxiety and self-harm, especially in girls, skyrockets if there's more than 2 hours a day that is spent on that. So that's
limiting time is so important. Like even as adults, there are times that we do social media fasts in our family.
That's
true. We just get off of it. And
as a church, like
as
we said,
It's so important to train our kids in that way. Too.
Yes, it is. So this resource, you can find this online at hopefellowship.net/students and kind of scroll down to parent resources. As a part of that too, we have a list of different apps that kind of can help monitor. It doesn't cover everything. No. But it does help with that. There's some tips. Again, it's not an end all be all, but those are some important things that we think could help with you and your teenager. And join us next week as we talk about pornography, something that maybe can be a little bit awkward sometimes. But so signing off today.
We just want you to know if you can do this, you're not alone.
God is with you, and so are we. Have a great week.